age 15, the same year when his daughter Skylar was born, Noah Elliott was diagnosed with osteosarcoma bone cancer. He spent the next 9.5 months inpatient at St. Louis Children's Hospital fighting for his life. During treatment, he watched the 2014 Sochi Paralympics on TV and saw snowboarding, which from then on became his new dream. His new goal was to move to Park City, Utah to learn how to snowboard and figure out how to compete for Team USA. He worked 2 jobs, started a GoFundMe page, and after 9 months, had the financial support to move and train with the National Ability Center at the age of 19. By the age of 20, he made Team USA. He qualified for not only the national team, but also for the 2018 Paralympic team, eventually winning a gold and bronze medal.
So how did you decide that you wanted to be a skateboarder?
Yeah, skateboarding kind of fell into my lap right in front of me. It was one of those things that, we were in St. Louis. I was 8 years old, and I remember my neighbor was actually a skateboarder. And so we lived on this hill called Vine Street, and the hill kind of came down, and our house was down towards the bottom. And then on the other side of us was, his name was Derek, his house. And what happened was he was skating down from the high school. He was in high school at the time, and I was 8. And I remember seeing him like cruise down the street and like doing tricks. And I was like, whoa, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like did it like the cool kids in the movie where he just like stomped and kicked it up and caught it. And I was like, what? And I was like, what just happened? What did I see? And I was like, hey, what is that? And he said, well, it's a skateboard. And that's kind of what sparked the inspiration. And I went inside and said, Mom, I want to get a skateboard. And like a month or 2 later, I got a skateboard from Target. And that was the foundation of Noah starting skateboarding.
Wow, that's amazing. And how you started skateboarding, how did you, and you tell us, what made you decide to get into it, but how did it become like a real passion for you? Did you think when you first started that maybe it was just going to kind of be a hobby? You were 8 years old, so that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But what was your thinking, and how did your thinking kind of shift into really making it a passion of yours?
Yeah, well, I remember, so it was really weird because when I got my skateboard, I remember just thinking like, wow, this is really hard. And, skateboarding is one of those things that is really tricky to learn, especially in the beginning stages when you're starting from scratch and you're 8 years old. So I was like, doing it, falling a lot, getting hurt. And there was actually another neighbor that moved in down the street because Derek and the other guys who were skating next door were old enough now. They moved away. They never lived at home again. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like skateboarding, as far as the neighbor's inspiration went, kind of died out. But then another neighbor moved in down the street and he skateboarded as well. And he gave me my first pro board, which is huge because a Target board sucks. It's okay to get started on, but I would try to turn it wouldn't turn because the trucks weren't set right and they were just kind of cheap trucks. But we were able to kind of get a pro board that I was actually able to lean on and they would turn and stuff. And I remember going skateboarding with him and then Alex up the street. And when I saw other people skating, it kind of just inspired me. I was like, wow, it looks so cool. I want to be better. And they just kept reminding me skateboarding, you're going to fall, but the most important thing is you're going to get back up and do it again. And that's what being a skater is. And so that was instilled into me day one. It was okay, cool. I'm going to fall, I'm going to get hurt, but I don't care because I'm going to get back up and do it again. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of those things that made it to where I really enjoyed it. Also got beat up and then was cool, had those moments of yes, because I got beat up and then I got back on the horse, and on the board and I was going.
Yeah, no, I would never be able to do skateboarding. My whole point is that it's a very daring thing and, you kind of, never know, quote unquote, what's going to happen. And yeah, you're going to fall and you're going to get back up and, you're going to make, you're going to do your, you're going to make your, or you're going to do well, and obviously then there's going to be times probably where, you're going to fail. And it's kind of, quote unquote, a learning process. So, but I'm glad that, you found a passion that you really like. I think that's really important in life.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were 15 when you welcomed Skylar into the world. This also was a time when osteosarcoma presented itself. So how did you manage this diagnosis while, welcoming and having, a daughter in your life?
Yeah, it was crazy timing because I started skateboarding when I was 8, like we talked about, and when I turned 10, I kind of like knew that it was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and so that's what I was going to do. And so I was skateboarding, and when I was 15 and 14, I was actually a semi-pro. I was on my way to becoming a professional skater. I was getting really good and like progressing very fastly those next couple years. And I knew I was like, okay, I'm going to become a pro skater. And then we found out, oh my God, we're going to have a child. Like, this is crazy. So my ideal scenario that I planned out at that moment was I'm going to be a pro skater. Skylar's going to live the life. We're going to take care of her, give her the best we can. And then when I'm 18, I can join the military and help support my family in that way and get support, and also have a career set up outside of skateboarding. And that all changed very quickly. So I was getting ready for skating and competitions and just trying to get all my ducks in a row. And next thing you know, bam, I get diagnosed with osteosarcoma bone cancer. And it was weird the way we found it. My knee was just hurting really bad when I was skating, and I wasn't able to do tricks the way I was like a couple weeks before. Couldn't figure out why. Thought I just bumped my knee on a rail or something when I was skating, but I went to the doctor, and next thing you know, they're saying you got cancer in your leg, and I'm like, whoa. Well, let's get it wrapped up by Friday because I got to go skate, and I didn't realize how severe it was at the time. And yeah, spent the next year in the hospital undergoing chemotherapy treatments, and it was challenging because I was also a teen dad at that point, and trying to juggle a daughter and almost dying was really tough. So I'm thankful that I had support from family members to help out when I was going through that. And that's kind of what led me into the next chapter in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's crazy to have cancer, basically have pediatric cancer because you were kind of so young. So, and if you don't mind me saying this, but it's a good thing. You're very, very fortunate to be a survivor and to overcome, be in remission with your cancer. This is sad, but I do have a family friend whose daughter had osteosarcoma, and unfortunately she lost her life when she was 16. She was diagnosed at 10 years, and now her family, actually she started the foundation, and then her mom now carries it. It's called the Taylor Matthews Foundation, and they raise money for research for pediatric cancer. But your story is inspiring because you're a survivor. And,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So for those that don't know, what is osteosarcoma, and how I guess did it affect you, and then how does it affect you now?
Yeah.
Really, I would assume you're in remission, so it could not be anything now that it doesn't affect you. But so
Yeah.
what?
So yeah, people, for people who may not have any experience with osteosarcoma is a very aggressive and severe bone cancer that's diagnosed in children. So like you said, it's a pediatric cancer, and it's a really, really tough thing because you either find it early enough to where you're able to get treatment, and hopefully the treatment kills it off and you're able to live and survive past that, or you find it and it's too late. And it's really, really unfortunate because it's so sad. It's like you never know. And the way that you get diagnosed with it is usually you're walking and your leg breaks, or you're doing something and your arm breaks, because it's a bone cancer. And so it's usually in your joints of your bones is where it kind of usually resides and stuff. And it makes it really, really challenging and hard to know. You wouldn't think when you're a kid that, oh my God, my arm hurts or my leg hurts, like, oh, I have cancer. It's something that doesn't cross your mind, and I'm very thankful I found it early enough and my treatment did work. I am still in remission. But it's one of those things that you survive it, but you never really it's going to still always affect you no matter who you are, and it's something that still lives with me. Like, I got really close to some people while I was in the hospital who I later had to say goodbye to because they passed away, or things of that nature. And that's why I'm very excited and thankful to have made myself a career in what I'm doing now, that where I have more of a spotlight on me, and I can kind of share a light of hope to those kids who are in the hospital, and go to the hospital and share my medals with them and talk to them and show them that, if they do make it past it, that there is a life past cancer and it's not the end all be all.
Mhm.
Uh, and if for some reason they're not going to make it, if I can go in there and give them some hope and inspiration or make them smile for a moment, I think that's has a lot to say. But yeah, it's gnarly stuff for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, okay, so well, first of all, how long have you been in remission for? Since,
Whoa, yeah, I've been in remission for. Let's see. I try not to think about it that much because it's like, and even though I should be like, wow,
oh,
like,
right.
right. But then it's also like, it was such a, I think it was one of those things where it was so traumatic and such a big thing that it's like, it's hard to look back on at times.
All
Cause
right,
then
well,
I'm
we don't
like,
have to go into that. I was just
no, no,
asking,
no, 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 it's all good. I'm just
no.
saying like me, but it's been what, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Oh, wow. It's been a
Yeah,
really
it's been
long.
like 8 years. What's up? Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wait, it's
what's
been
good.
18 years, you said.
8 years.
Oh, 8 years. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
I'm 23 right now.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I look like an old grandpa, but
No,
I'm
you
20.
look much older.
No,
I
it's the
know, not
beard.
in a bad way. You look great,
You're like, you
but
look old, dude.
no, no, no. Oh, so you're okay. Oh wow. Okay, so your daughter's like 8, 9 years old.
Yep, she's 8 right now.
Um,
But yeah, if I shave, I look like a kid.
no,
But
you're fine.
I look
No,
this
no, no.
way.
I would have thought maybe you were like 30, but I could. I mean, you're fine. I wish I was your age.
Everyone thinks I'm 30. You're like, you
It's
look
a
at
good thing that you look younger, or that you are younger, I should say. I mean, yeah,
no, for
having
sure.
a beard definitely does
Yeah,
perk it up. You look great. I didn't mean to.
thank you.
Um,
All good.
yeah. So do you? So where does? I mean, so you're married.
No,
Um,
I'm single. I'm a single dad.
oh, you are. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure. I don't mean to be
No, you're
asking
good. You're
questions.
good.
So your daughter is with you, I would assume, or is back and forth between.
Yeah, so when I was diagnosed with, I mean, there was a lot of different things going on, but when I got the cancer, the mom, she left. And so I think it was just a lot of things going on as far as like being a teen parent. And all of a sudden, like the dad's got cancer. You don't know if he's going to live or not.
Right.
And so she's not in my daughter's life.
Oh,
So it's just me and my daughter. So she's actually at school right now. Her
right.
last week of school. I'm proud. I'm excited. She's going to third grade.
Oh, wow. Oh, so
Yeah,
that's okay. No, I wasn't. In my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe you. Okay. Oh,
right.
so you have her completely.
Mhm.
So, but that's really nice. I
Yeah.
mean, I know she's only 8, but it's probably it gives you a lot of joy. Having her. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, but and I'm sure you have obviously a support system too with your family and so forth as well. Just in terms of because she's 8, like taking care of her and this and that as well as you. But wow, that's really, really inspiring.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's really, really cool. So, can you give us some advice to anyone who is suffering emotionally, has issues with self-doubt, and depression, and kind of feels lost in their life when it comes to a physical difference, when it comes to cancer, or just encompasses anyone who has some type of difference
Yeah.
or has had
Yeah.
some type of severe struggle.
Yeah, I would say my advice would be like, first off, like it is okay to not be okay. And I think it's important to realize and understand that like even if you're not doing okay, like you should try to talk to somebody. And even if you have one person to like bounce ideas off of or talk to or have somebody just to listen to you, I think that can go a really, really long way. And don't forget to count and like recognize the little achievements that you make each and every day. Like even if it's as simple as like, hey, I really really want to walk to the bathroom today and I'm struggling to get there, you know be excited and count and recognize that your achievement, like you got a little bit closer, or you didn't quite make it all the way there but you're right there, kind of thing. Like to recognize that there is good and the small achievements as well, and not to look past it, I think is important for people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. When your left leg needed to be amputated above the knee due to your osteosarcoma, what were your immediate reactions to this clearly like devastating, um, information? And did you ever like lose hope? And how did you persevere? Um,
So I think that's a great question. Plot twist. So I didn't actually need to have my leg amputated. I chose it, which is crazy, right, to think about. But it's important to know, like, when life's caving in on you and you have all these different things going on and things are continuing to push you down, push you down, push you down. I think you really get creative on trying to figure out, what and how to smile and what to look at and what to take seriously and what to joke about. And I think something that helped me get through things were laughing at some of the crazy stuff, and just being like, oh wow, isn't that kind of silly? Like that shouldn't be going on, but like, wow, that's pretty goofy how that happened. And when I was really, really down, because I know for a long time, like I did not look like this at all. Like I looked very, 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 very ill. And looking back at it, I didn't realize at the time how ill I looked until now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I looked very ill. But seeing people the way they looked at me was way different because on the inside, I felt strong. I felt good. It was never a question in my mind if I was going to survive or not. Like I knew I had to for Skylar, for my daughter. And like, I didn't think about what if I do die, it was one of those things where it's like, but everyone else looking at me, they were giving me that concerned look is like, is he going to wake up tomorrow? Is he going to make it today? And so what I started to do is when I would look at myself, I'd look in the mirror and I'd look at my eyes. And I think that was something that never changed. Like my eyes always still had the glow in them. They still always had, the light in them. And that was something that I could look at my complexion in the mirror and be like, okay, we got this. I just got to look deeper kind of thing. And that's something that helped me get through those really, really tough times and things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so clearly having your leg amputated is going to affect you in the sports world, or did affect you in the sports world with your skateboarding. And you did switch from skateboarding to snowboarding, which I would love to know why. But, how has, what modifications have you made to continue skateboarding, snowboarding, and anything else that you do, because it's different.
Yeah. It started off with like when I got the cancer diagnosis, one of the first surgeries they did was to save my leg, and they did a reconstructive surgery, and they did a total knee replacement, and my tibia bone was replaced with titanium also. And I woke up from surgery and I found out I wasn't able to skateboard again. And that right there just like made me so mad because I didn't go into it knowing that I wasn't going to be able to skateboard or ride a bike or anything like that again. But because of how much work needed to be done to save my leg, that I couldn't do it. My leg only bent to 90 degrees and that's it. And that was after 9.5 months of recovery from surgery. Like I had to work it into that. And I realized at that point that I lost who I was. I realized that we associate who we are with what we do. And when you take away what you do, who are you anymore? And I had to really dig deep and figure out who Noah was and who Noah was going to be. And that's when snowboarding came into play. I saw Sochi on TV, the Sochi Paralympic Games. I watched 3 snowboarders sweep the poles, and they had prosthetics. And then I actually got to come to a camp for kids with cancer in Steamboat, Colorado, which is where I'm currently living. Mm-hmm. And it was my first time seeing the mountains. And it was my first time also meeting a Paralympic snowboarder in person. And that's when I was like, I'm going to get my leg amputated and learn to snowboard one day. Mm-hmm. Back to St. Louis and went into multiple doctor visits, and they said, hey, you need a second surgery. You can try to save it or you can amputate. And I said, I already know what I want to do. Time is now. And I amputated my leg when I was 17 years old, and then made a plan, worked jobs, and moved from St. Louis to the mountains so I could start snowboarding because I couldn't skateboard nearly as well with a prosthetic as I had with 2 legs because of the dynamic foot motions that you have to do. I couldn't do them anymore. And so snowboarding, you're strapped in, makes it a lot easier. And I just wanted to go skate the mountain.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you're in Steamboat right now. Do you ever snowboard Vail or Aspen?
Yeah, yeah. I've snowboarded Vail. I haven't got to snowboard Aspen yet, though. I've been over that
Little
way too.
further.
But yeah, I need to. I got friends over there. I gotta go. But
Well,
Vail's cool.
so yeah, absolutely. So I don't ski anymore. I can totally ski. I'm just a very
Right, you're getting old.
yeah, I'm a little terrified.
No.
So getting back to your daughter, if you don't mind sharing, I mean, she's 8, so she very well knows of, obviously is aware of, obviously your leg being amputated, and, I'm sure you've probably shared a little bit about your osteosarcoma. But like, how does she perceive your quote unquote differences? I mean, clearly she sees you as your dad, I mean, as her dad. But, have there been any challenges or like, friendships, where they've been like, oh, your dad's different, like, asking questions? And if so, like, how have you guys navigated that together?
Yeah, I think I'm in a really unique spot because I'm a professional athlete, and so it's harder to notice more so, I would say, with my situation based on like she goes snowboarding with me and she sees me out snowboarding like everyone I'm riding with here. And so there's not a lot of times where she's like, oh wow, my dad's really struggling with that. I say with steps, yes, because like when I walk up steps, it's very challenging versus going down steps. Like I have to like use one leg and like drag my other one up because I can't bend my knee or whatever going upstairs. Um, and there's some certain factors like in those positions or those situations. But she honestly thinks it's really cool. Like when I go and pick her up from the Boys and Girls Club, she's like, "Oh, Dad, show my friend your leg. Like, show him your robot leg." And then I show them, and they're like, "Oh my God,
No,
you
it is
have a
cool.
robot leg." So it's kind of like she embraces it as like my dad's really cool because he has something different than everyone
Yeah, of
else,
course.
which is awesome. Like it's really fun to do that, and I'm glad she feels that way. So. But
Yeah,
I'm always doing stuff with it. Like we've gone camping like 4 times already. And
fun.
yeah, so we're just always doing stuff. We went bike riding yesterday and going skateboarding today. So
So
like
you'll
we're
pick her
always,
up from school or whatever, and then you'll go and like go
yeah.
skateboarding.
So we're actually filming right now. I got a photographer, a videographer here from Warren Miller Film, and we're filming for that stuff today also. And yeah,
Huh?
just getting it all done, getting it going, and having
Yeah.
fun.
Hey, it's fun. Okay, you pick her up from school or whatever, and you go like skateboarding or snowboarding. Like, I think that's so cool. I mean, obviously, you're not snowboarding right now, but I think that's so cool. For
Yeah,
me, it's to come home. I mean, I'm in the city.
right.
Completely the opposite. So I guess what modifications have you had to make as a single father, in terms of more, I guess, when she was younger, because now she's independent, I'm talking about like no potty train, all of that stuff. But were there, modifications, like you said, you can't walk upstairs as well, or it's difficult. So like what type of adaptive equipment did you use, or what type of like supports have you used to navigate these challenges?
Yeah, I got really like good and creative at figuring out a way to have crutches and like carry cups and carry things and like figure out how I could do that on my own. Because that was important to me, I think, to have that feeling of like independence, which is good for anyone to have. If they can have a little bit of that, I think it goes a long way to boost their confidence. But a lot of times I ask for help. Like if I was like in a situation and Skylar needed attention and I couldn't get to her, or if she was like running away and I'm on crutches and I couldn't run, I'd be like, "Yo, mom, can you grab her real quick, or can you do this?" Or I would like try to chase her with crutches. And like I don't know if you've ever seen anybody try to run on crutches; it's pretty intense. But been there, done that, and yeah, I think you just really get creative because like the task still needs to be done, and you just figure out a different way to adapt and try to do it. It might take you a little longer, it might be a little different looking, but still trying to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what adaptive equipment or compensations do you make for when you snowboard and ice skate? Do you have special skateboards and snowboards? Different, obviously, I mean, the boot, for instance, when you snowboard clearly must be different. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about your modifications?
Yeah, I try to keep the modifications to a minimal if I can.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's different for each scenario. I definitely have to have a different prosthetic for snowboarding. But
Okay.
outside of that, like the ideal situation, right, is to like have no modification at all, right? If you're like, because everything's made for, majority of the thing, like snowboarding example, like boards and bindings and boots are made for people without modifications. So I try to get as close as to having no modifications as I can to see if it works better or to see if I can get to that ideal scenario of like it kind of all fits everyone. But that's not the case when you're working with, adaptions and a disability. Like you have to
Of
get creative.
course.
And so what I've done is I cut my boot liner up so that my prosthetic can fit in there better and that the shocks can move around in the snowboard boot for me while I'm riding. And that's about the only thing is I switch legs and then I make that adjustment to my boot liner and then put my boot together. And the next thing you know, I'm on snow, ready to rip.
That's awesome. Very, very, very cool. Anyways, in 2018, you won a gold medal in banked slalom. I hope I said that right. And a bronze medal in snowboard cross. It's very impressive. Congrats. What was the most challenging competition to date that you've had, and why was it so challenging?
That's a good question. I think the most challenging competition I had to date was either Finland the year of the games, like a World Cup leading into the games to qualify, because I knew what I needed to do to qualify was going to be difficult to get to. I had to be top 3 both disciplines in the world to qualify. And so I knew that I had to get as many top place podiums as I could. And so that was a really challenging one for me. And then actually a year later at World Champs and Finland again, I was ready to win a world title. And during my time trial, I was running really fast and I was riding really good. And during my time trial, like I was cooking, smoking fast. And then I fell and I was like, oh no, I just ruined my time trial, which put me in a bad bracketed spot, which means on border cross, you have to like continue. Like if you qualify bad, you have to race a lot of heats to get to the top one to get a first or a second or a third.
Mhm.
And so I was like really low on there because I fell. My time was slow compared to everybody else who didn't fall. And I was like, oh my God. So I was mad at myself. I was like, man, why did I do that? Like, come on. Like, I know better. Like, could have moved faster. What the heck? Like, if I would have made the move quicker, it wouldn't happen. But I actually ended up winning the world title because I believed in myself so much. And I was like, all right, I need to channel this energy and I'm going to do this. Like, we're going to make this happen. And those are my 2 toughest, I would say. But it shows you can still have a tough time and still come out on top,
Absolutely. So you also surf.
Yeah.
So, which is a lot of fun.
You see that surfboard? Mm-hmm.
Yes, there you go. I do. It's awesome. I don't surf, but that's a whole other thing. But anyways, talking about surfing, talking about skating, talking about snowboarding, which do you think, if you had to choose, is your favorite?
Okay. Do I have 1 leg or do I have 2 legs?
You can have, well, I guess let's just say you have 1 leg because that's kind of what
I'm in.
Yeah.
Still hard. I would have to say snowboard.
Or you can just say none. I mean, you can say they're all equal.
They are.
There's no right or wrong answer here.
I know. It's hard though, because it's like, yeah. I think I would say snowboarding just because I can go bigger and I can ride really, really well on a snowboard, like because I'm strapped in. Skateboarding, I'm not nearly as good as I used to be. Surfing, I have nothing to compare it to because I never surfed before I got my leg cut off. But I can get better at surfing, but I still really love it. Yeah, snowboarding is just like another level. I can hit giant jumps and do it no problem, so feeling good.
Do you ever worry? I mean, clearly, these are all, like I said, like kind of daring activities or sports. Do you ever worry about another injury or, talking about injury, I know that your leg was amputated due to osteosarcoma. But, do you ever worry about, potential accidents, from these sports?
Not really. I think,
Good.
yeah, I think if you second guess it, like if you're like getting ready to like hit a rail or hit a jump or something, and like there's a doubt in your mind, you're like, oh, no, I don't know. You're going to slam and it's going to hurt and you probably get hurt. But if you go in there like fully confident, like, all right, I'm going to make the move, and then you just boom, do it,
Right.
then you're good usually.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Just don't second guess it, because if you second guess, it's like skating. If you second guess a skate trick, you're going down.
Right.
You're going to roll your ankle. You're going to snap a wrist, something.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
gotta be confident.
Exactly. So, you worked as a program coordinator for Steamboat Adaptive Recreational Sports, or STARS, in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, of course.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how do adaptive programs like this one help bring families together on the slopes, so no one in a family is left behind?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the community might not realize what they can actually do. And it's because they haven't got the opportunity to experience the equipment needed to give them the opportunity to see what they can do. Example, as someone who's in a wheelchair, they're going to be like, skiing, how could I ever ski? And then they see a mono ski or they see a bike ski and they're like, whoa, something's actually made for someone like me like that to do this? Maybe I can do that. So at STARS here, we're doing exactly that. We're empowering and enriching lives through adaptive recreational sports. And that's at its base what it is. Like being able to show people that you can experience and explore and love and recreate outdoors, and change your life by doing so, and help you realize that you can do all those things, is what we do. And it's amazing because it brings families together. Like there could be the biggest skier family in the world, and they have a son or a daughter that's born with a disability, and they think that, wow, I can't take them skiing with our family group anymore. And it's not the case at all. It's like, hey, come to STARS. We'll get them out on a lesson. We can all go together and we can show you that you can, kind of stuff. And we also do summer activities. So paddleboard, horse programs, all those things. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it'd be great if, I don't necessarily need to participate in them. I'm a big gym junkie. I swim, I play tennis, but it would be nice if there were more adaptive programs, not for myself, but for others. In New York State, obviously there are some, but it's not like being in an environment like Colorado where there's mountains and there's so much in terms of sports. It's kind of like the way of living, quote unquote.
yeah,
Even in the summer, just going mountain shoeing. Is that what it's called? Whatever, it's ski shoeing. So anyways, so you're also an ambassador for Wiggle Your Toes, such a great name, an organization to help amputees get back to leading the life they want. As an ambassador, can you share a bit about this organization and how it helps others?
Yeah, 100%. Wiggle Your Toes has a unique perspective and a really, really cool story on how it got started. Like Aaron, the starter of the foundation, such a nice guy. Him and his wife, his whole family, all great people, in the heart of Minnesota. But they're able to help provide people with the opportunity to get a prosthetic that they might need to do stuff, and to take them out and show them that you can still recreate and do things outside as well with a prosthetic. It's truly amazing. And I've got to see firsthand by volunteering with their ski program, being out at their summer wake surfing programs, and being a part of it all, that they have a huge power and impact on people's lives. Like, it's really cool. I really enjoy working with them.
Yeah, it's awesome. Organizations like this are just amazing. So as a motivational speaker, what do you think is the most important message that you always try to convey to your audiences, or to your audiences?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it adjusts and fluctuates depending on what kind of a group I'm talking to. But overall, it's kind of the same concept, right? Of like, you're going to get, this is perfect. Going back to when I was 8 years old and I met that dude and he was like, yo, you're going to fall, but you got to get back up. That's one of those things where I try to teach is like, yeah, you're going to fall, but get back up and give it 110% because the victory is going to be a lot sweeter than the pain that you go through trying to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So why not do it? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, that's kind of what I go for, help
Yeah.
motivate and inspire people to follow their dreams.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's kind of different and able. It's like all that it's about. I mean, you shouldn't hold back just because you have a difference. Like clearly, as we've spoken about, there are situations where, that's not possible. But generally speaking, in terms of who we're talking about, your audience, my audience, you know, it's just, really getting them going, is important for us who have differences and have become able to, nth y or, X, Y, and Z degree. Lastly, so as a parent, what do you think is the most important lesson that you should teach to your, sorry, I don't know why that just came up. Sorry, you should teach to your children or to your child, about inclusivity.
About what?
Inclusivity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think, Skylar's doing a really good job already with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because she sees what I do. Example as like, she's gone out to work with me at Stars and she's seen me helping other people so that they can do something that they might not have been able to do without help.
Mhm.
And I think that is something that she carries with her. Like if we're on the mountain snowboarding, she sees somebody like struggling to snowboard, she'll stop and be like, hey, have you tried this? Because this might help you like figure out how to turn better. And those are all the things that like I think she's taking on just by seeing me do what I've done with work. And she
Yeah.
wants to be a part of that and share that as well. And she likes to help people. She loves to help. And I think teaching her and other kids that reaching out and lending a hand is some of the most rewarding and like coolest things that you can ever do as a human. And that's the stuff you're going to remember. Like those are things you take to the grave with you. So that's
Absolutely.
important stuff.
What do you guys like to do for fun when it's not like skateboarding, snowboarding, doing your sports and all that? I'm just curious. Your story's so great. I love it. You have
yeah, we love to camp, like camping,
really fun.
fishing, walks, hikes, biking.
Oh wow, still have outdoor stuff.
A lot of outdoors, chilling, guitar playing,
Okay.
ukulele playing, storytelling, making jokes. We laugh a lot.
That's awesome.
She gets a little sassy. I call her the Sasquatch, and like stuff like that. So
cute. Oh, that's awesome. Well, you're such an inspiration, Noah.